almost there to break. Hey, I'm gonna show you a few healthy appetizers and dessert treats that you might try while you're on break. You might have your own family traditions, so I'm just gonna show you a couple of mine. And I'm doing a lot, so hopefully I won't get confused and you won't get confused. I gave Miss Wortman the recipes and instructions so she can give that to you later if you need it. I'm gonna show you cucumber chips with dip, brie stuffed mushrooms, brie and pear cracker, and then some rice pudding, peppermint bark, semi-sweet chocolate bark with almonds and craisins, and just how to chocolate dip some cookies. It's a lot of cooking instruction. I'm just gonna go fairly quickly, so hopefully I won't make too many mistakes, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna show you is the rice pudding, and whenever you're making more than one thing at a time, you wanna take the food that takes the longest you want to cook first, okay? So this takes about 20 minutes to simmer in a pan. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I have my pan here, put my glasses on my head, and some of you might have like leftover rice, and what makes this healthier is this is brown rice. White rice is fine, but I had some brown rice, and my recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup. Now I only have my 1 cup measuring, and there are 4/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4 in 1 cup. So I'm only gonna fill this about, not quite to the top, so 3/4, about that much, and maybe a little more. It really doesn't matter. This, you just want the same ratio of rice to milk when you're doing this, okay? So I'm just spooning this in my measuring cup, and I'm gonna put it in a saucepan. So this is from last night, from my dinner. So I just Googled rice pudding and I got a recipe. So that's the rice pudding, there's my box. And I'm gonna use coconut milk. You could use almond milk, you could use regular milk. I like coconut milk. I'm gonna use a liquid measuring cup. I need 3/4 of a cup of that. So I am gonna be more exact with this. So 1 cup, and then 3/4 is about there. And I'm gonna put that in with my rice. So in goes the milk. So pudding, the milk will thicken, and that's how I'm gonna get the pudding. We do add a little sugar. These are my measuring spoons. I need 2 tablespoons. There are 4 sizes of spoons. I'm gonna dip and shake so it's level and exact. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, and as I cook, I put my ingredients away so that I clear off my counter. So I'm putting them right here for now, out of my way. Gotta look at my recipe. Craisins or raisins go in there at the end. I need 1/2 teaspoon, very small amount of some butter. Now, butter you measure off with lines. So I just take a sharp knife and I'm just gonna cut the amount I need. That's about a tablespoon. So I need about 1/2 of this size. So I cut that in half, and that goes in there. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside. And then butter, vanilla, and that's all I need right now is the milk, the rice, sugar, and butter. And I'm gonna put this, mix it up, and I'm gonna put this on a medium-low heat and let it cook for about 20 minutes. So on my stove, I'm putting it on a 3. I'm gonna put the lid on it. Anything higher than that will bubble, and we don't want it to bubble, and we don't want the milk to burn, but we want it to get hot and cook. After that cooks, the rice will absorb the milk. I'm gonna add my craisins, some cinnamon, craisins, dried cranberry. I like them better than raisins. Craisins, cinnamon, lemon zest, and vanilla at the end, okay? So for right now, that's done. 20 minutes. I'll keep my spoon handy so that I can stir it. And then I'm gonna show you a couple other things, okay? So bear with me while I move my ingredients out of my way. Now, the other appetizer that I'm gonna show you are some stuffed mushrooms with brie. And brie is just a soft cheese that's made from a cow, and I like it. It's a more expensive, and so I only use it for entertaining or parties, and maybe some of your families use it, but it's a soft cheese and it has a sort of harder outside, but it melts down. It's rich, it's good, but I'm also going to experiment and use a little mozzarella cheese. Okay, now these are going to go in the oven, so I have my oven at like 400 degrees, which is pretty hot, so they're going to cook quickly. And I washed and I dried my mushrooms, so we want to wash our vegetables and fruits all the time. And there's the stem, and I'm just gonna pop out the stem so I have the center. And whenever I'm cooking, I have a colander for my garbage, my food scraps. Okay, so I washed and I dried the mushrooms, and I'm just popping the caps off, and they're okay. Now that one didn't come out very well, so I might take this little spoon, which I'm also gonna use for something else, and dig out the center a little bit more. So if I don't give it a big enough little crater in there, I might help it out, because I want the cheese to go in there and have space to melt, okay? And I'm gonna kind of do that with all of them, I think. This is a melon. You make cantaloupe melon balls with it. You scoop it in and you make a little ball out of it, or cookie dough. All right, so there we go with those. And this is a baking dish, so I have some sort of dish that's gonna go in the oven, not the microwave. Microwave would be too fast. I want the hot heat. When I'm roasting things, I want hot heat, hot heat. Roast from the outside, kind of gives a little brown on the inside. All right, now I have some rosemary for my garden. I'm kind of experimenting here, and because this really isn't a recipe. And I'm gonna snip a little rosemary. Here's my kitchen scissors. Rosemary is an herb, and I'm just gonna put a little bit in the bottom. So kind of rosemary would be a little more of an Italian blend spice. Brie is European, French, more where it originates from, but that's okay. It comes here. All right, so I got a little bit of spice there, and then I'm gonna take my brie, and I'm not gonna do very much. I took a little slice here, and I'm going to just take a piece and put it in the center. This is it, and hopefully I'm gonna kind of push it down there in the middle. I don't need much. And then on the other ones, I'm gonna try the mozzarella. Now this mozzarella is big, so I'm gonna give it a little cut, and I'm put some mozzarella. Now we know mozzarella is what goes on a pizza, so I know this cheese is going to melt in the heat. And you could adjust your heat to 350. If I want to take longer amount of time to cook these, I would put my heat down lower, like maybe 300, 325. Because I'm kind of in a hurry here, I'm doing a lot, I'm putting it up higher heat. So there, I put cheese in my mushrooms. I'm gonna put this in the oven. So right over here. And then while they're in the oven, my rice is cooking, I'm gonna show you my next appetizer. And actually, I'm gonna show you a different one. I'm gonna stay with my brie. Here is my brie crostini with crackers. Now, a crostini would be a piece of bread that you toast. I don't have any with me right now. So I'm gonna do the same brie. And this is a really good appetizer. I'm gonna put a thinner slice on my crackers. Okay, can you see in my pan? And then pear is this is a red pear. I'm just gonna get a really thin slice of pear, and I'm gonna put it on top of the cracker. And so as the cheese melts, it just mixes with the pears, and it's a really nice flavor. And for a holiday, if you were helping out maybe with a holiday celebration, this would be a nice appetizer. And an appetizer like this and the mushrooms, you do maybe 20 minutes before you're going to serve them, because cheese gets harder as it cools down, so we want this to be nice and creamy. So I'm gonna put these in the oven. And those are gonna take less time than the mushrooms. The mushrooms actually need to cook down and get soft. Remember, when we're working with our ovens and stoves, we wanna have a pot holder handy so we don't burn ourselves, okay? All right, so that's appetizer 2. Appetizer 3, cucumber. So now here's some vegetables. It's always nice to have some vegetables at a party. All right, so I washed this cucumber and I am going to just show you a small amount. So I'm going to cut it there. I'm going to peel my cucumber, and here's my garbage bowl. So instead of making a big mess in the kitchen, I'm just going to peel it right into the bowl. And some of you have different kinds of peelers, and it's a skill. You have to learn how to use these, okay? So now I'm going to cut these. I'm going to cut these a little bit thicker, okay? Maybe an inch, all right? And I want to try to be really good about cutting them straight down. There, I have 4, all right? I have 4 little discs. Now I'm going to go back to my little melon ball here, and I'm going to scoop out the seeds. I don't want to puncture through to the other side though, okay? So I'm going to take them, and these are kind of sharp, this tool, so that it can cut through vegetables, and I get a little crater. Then my seeds go in the garbage bowl. Okay, scoop that through. And this is super simple, these appetizers. I used to make these for weddings and things, like hundreds. You can do these ahead of time, okay? So the trick is not to puncture the other side because we don't want our dip to leak through. All right, so there's perfect little circles. Now, to make this healthy, obviously, it's a cucumber. Tzatziki is a Greek yogurt dip with dill and some other spices, and there's a lot of varieties of tzatziki at different stores. Okay, so you're gonna just take this and you put a dollop, and a dollop is just a little bit inside. And I don't have any dill, fresh dill, but you could garnish. We always want to garnish our appetizers and our desserts and our food to make it look pretty, and that means decorating it with a little. And these actually I would want to put back in my refrigerator so they chill. They won't harden. This dip looks very creamy, so it's going to stay on the soft side. Now I'm just gonna, I didn't get a serving plate for this. Well, actually, the picture, there's my serving plate. Whenever we're gonna serve for something special, you know, finding a nice plate, keeping it clean. So there's my cucumber dip chips, okay? I'm gonna put these just over here for right now, out of my way, okay? There you go. What, 3 up? So, brie and pear crostini, cucumber tzatziki chip dips, and mushroom caps with cheese. All right, so there I have 3 healthy appetizers. All right, now on to the good stuff. And what I'm gonna do next is the bark. So chocolate, chocolate. We're gonna do some things with chocolate. I have white chocolate chips. We're gonna melt chocolate, and melting chocolate is a skill. Okay, so I just got chocolate chips in a bag, doesn't matter what brand. And then I have regular semi-sweet chocolate chips, okay? I have a little pan. I'm gonna put the chocolate chips in my little pan. My burner is on 1. So the trick about melting any kind of chocolate, white or regular chocolate, I had to practice, that's why they're kind of dirty, is you want them to be low and slow. Otherwise chocolate burns. If it burns, it tastes burnt, it crumbles, and you basically have to throw it out. You could probably eat it, but you can't use it in your cooking, okay? So we want it slow. I have a spoon or a spatula for stirring it, and you just need to wait. Now, the white chocolate is really tricky to make it so it doesn't burn and clump up, okay? So, you really don't need to see those, but there they are on my stove, and I have a big enough burner that they're both on the same one. So while they're melting, I'm gonna get the things ready, equipment that I need. So or the bark, and bark is a kind of a candy, I put just plastic saran wrap on a plate, okay? So I have one of those for each of my bark. I have a chocolate bark, and then we have our white, okay? So there's my 2 plates. And there, I'm just gonna move them out of my way. All right, so on the white bark, it's peppermint bark. So I'm taking candy canes, and I have to crush them like this. And you can do it however you want to do it. I've figured out if I just take a spoon, you could crush them with a container, or maybe my little syrup bottle. Just don't pulverize them. You want a few little chunks, but nothing too big. This is gonna get mixed in with your chocolate, okay? So take something heavy, non-breakable, do it on a cutting board, not the counter, and give it a little crush. All right, so that's gonna go in the chocolate when it's done, and then a little bit sprinkled on top. Okay, so that one's ready. Now the other one is going to be the chocolate bark with almonds and craisins. So again, I've taken a sweet and chocolate. Dark chocolate actually has some good qualities for you. White chocolate, not exactly sure offhand what they are. I'm giving them a stir. And so we're putting some almonds and the craisins, which are some good things, in our chocolate. Now I'm going to give these a rough chop. It's called a rough chop. It means I'm not going to chop them up teeny tiny, just so they're not whole. Okay, so I toasted these almonds also as well. So I toasted them in the oven, and that's a whole nother lesson. All right, so they're raw. There's no salt. I don't like to add salt to my food. Now I'm also being careful with my knife. I know I'm touching the blade because these get stuck. So again, rough chop my almonds, my craisins. I'm gonna put them back in the bowl just so that they're easy to handle, but that's it. I want chunks of nuts and the craisins to go on my chocolate, okay? So I have my white chocolate bark ingredients, peppermint chocolate ingredients, and I've got my other ones. Then I had sugar cookies that I made last night. You could buy store-bought cookies that are plain, or make your own sugar cookies plain. No sprinkles, no frosting, and I'm going to show you how to do some, dip these in chocolate, okay? Now, I need to check on our mushrooms and our brie. So hang on, I'm going to find my pot holder. Oh my gosh, these are beautiful. So the mushrooms got a little brown. When mushrooms cook, they get, the moisture is released. My cheese is melted pretty much. I might just keep them in there one more minute. Brie melts quickly. Oh, look at those. That's beautiful. So I'm gonna keep my brie in for a sec. I'm gonna take out my apple slices, my pear slices, they're not apples. Okay, and of course I wouldn't eat these right now, so 20 minutes before you're going to serve them as an appetizer, okay? And the mushrooms look perfect. Oh my goodness, so excited. All right, my white chocolate. What you do want to do is low and slow. Give it a stir, and don't be impatient. Be patient and wait till it's drippable, okay? If it's too cold, it won't move. So we want it to be warm enough so it's moving. That looks perfect. I think the chocolate's chocolate's coming along. So the white one is ready to work with. I'm gonna keep the chocolate one over there. So we're doing the peppermint bark, okay? So here's my plate with saran wrap. And what I'm gonna do is, so before I'm gonna put my chocolate on the saran wrap, and then we're gonna put it in the refrigerator. All right, I also have my scissors. Just gonna cut the top off this, and I'm put 2 little candy canes. Now I didn't measure, okay? Depending on how much bark, you can use whatever size. If I'm making a lot, and you could give this as a gift, you could serve it as a dessert, wrap them up cute. You can make as much of this as you want. This is just to show you all how to do it. So I stirred in the candy canes in there, and this is my third. I might just put a few more in there. I'm gonna save a little bit for the top. All right, so stir it up, and then I'm just gonna pour it on my, it's already cooling down. I'm gonna pour it in the middle of my plate. I'm gonna use a rubber scraper here to get it all out. And chocolate, and these are chocolate chips, so chocolate chips melt, and then they harden back up as they cool down, okay? So if you didn't already know that. And we're just going to spread it out on the wax, or excuse me, saran wrap, but not too thin, okay? Not too thick, not too thin. We want it just right so that when we go to break it in pieces, it's not, doesn't fall apart. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And the peppermint's in there, and the peppermint flavor comes across really, really strong. Okay, and we don't have to put much more in there. So there, that's our peppermint one. Let's check on our chocolate one. Ooh, looking good. Again, the only thing you need to do is wait and stir it. If you leave it, it will burn, and it will taste burnt. Okay, so this looks good. Now I'm gonna do one thing before our rice pudding is boiling over, so I need to move that off the heat. Surprised about that. Okay, this is perfect. So I talked about dipping a cookie. Okay, if you want to do chocolate covered cookies, you can do it a couple ways. My bowl isn't big enough to actually dip and get very much into it, so I can take a knife and I can kind of frost it with a light, and the hard part about this is really that it gets messy. To stay neat, a light coating of chocolate, and then I happen to have these, my silver little decorations, and I'm gonna put that on my plastic out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the refrigerator. So this chocolate bark is going in the refrigerator so that it will harden, and it doesn't take very long. So you might want to do this in the morning or the day ahead if you think you're going to serve it or give it as gifts or anything. Okay, you can't do it all at once and have it done. It needs some time to chill. All right, so get all that chocolate out. Remember, when we're cooking, we don't lick our fingers until you're done. All right, I think I'm just going to use a spoon. Now, I didn't mix the almonds and the craisins. I'm going to sprinkle them on top, so a little bit different. Again, remember, not too thick, not too thin. Okay, use rubber scrapers, little ones, big ones. That's a skill, takes practice. And then here are my craisins and my almonds, and I am just sprinkling them on top. So, you know, green pistachios are green, so if you had pistachios and craisins, that would sort of be, you know, the traditional Christmas color. Doesn't have to be. All right, so I have my almond bark and that. I'm gonna put this in my refrigerator. Okay, and I have some finished ones. Oh, I gotta get my mushrooms. Oh yeah, so I left it, what, 3-4 minutes? They're even better. They're golden brown, super duper hot, so I'm not gonna touch them right now because I have to put them on my serving tray. But here's my bark that I did as a practice to show you. So it totally hardens. And then as a serving, what you would want to do is serving it, and I didn't get exactly you're just going to break it up into pieces. Now you can give this as a gift in a Ziploc bag, or something cute. And it's really yummy. And the same with the chocolate bark. Okay, so super thin, very pretty. And keep them, I would, if I was giving them as a gift, I would keep them separate. Now, you can experiment with chocolate. Once you learn the trick of melting chocolate, you can totally experiment. And you could do a chocolate and a white on top. You have to do one and then the other. All right, and then there's my cookie, all nice and yummy hard. All right, so